Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Story Darlings podcast. I'm Sandra.
And I'm Tara.
Tara, we have a bonus episode today. What are we talking about?
Well, Sandra almost said the word season. We are talking about season 1, hopefully, of many more to come of Maxton Hall. So it is a German-based, right? Like, I think that they are technically in Switzerland, from what I can tell, of like actual Maxton Hall.
Some of it, yes.
But it is German. Like it's based on a German book.
Okay. These books, as Tara said, they're German, but they're translated in Estonian, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, every language under the sun except English. And I want an English translation so bad. The author's name is Mona Kasten, and the Maxton Hall series is just a trilogy. It's Save Me, Save You, and Save Us are the names of the books. And I think that literally like yesterday, I don't know, whenever this episode airs, they just announced that there is going to be a season 2. So
Yay!
hopefully, yay, if they can keep up. I know.
Because like, I'm going to need this tomorrow. Thank you very much.
The way that this show is filmed, it focuses so much on the intimate conversations between James and Ruby. And so it doesn't seem like it's that high effect or anything. So like if they needed to film this, I feel like they should be able to do that really quickly, get it all produced and edited, and then be able to release it fast because we need more.
And dubbed because they speak. And I'm fairly certain I don't know what they're speaking, but like German. I could understand parts of it. So maybe I can read this book.
Well, good for you. Because I could not.
I'm like, I know what she just said.
I tend to watch everything with subtitles. But the thing is, because it focuses on just the micro expressions between the two and the intimate moments, you don't want to be looking down reading subtitles. Like you want to be focused on the characters. So I begrudgingly watched it with the dubbed English, which just made me cringe sometimes. But I feel like I need to just binge watch it again and maybe I can focus on something other than,
I told Sandra this because I binged it the night it came out. Like Sandra sent it to me and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right up my alley. And so I binged it the night I was procrastinating reading. This is why like everything's been delayed. So I binged it. And then I sent Sandra, I just binged that whole show because there are only 6 episodes, right? So it wasn't like that much. And Sandra was like, okay. I'm like, it reminded me a lot of Cruel Intentions.
I can see that.
Yeah. With the main character, James, is this really rich guy. His family has been making clothes for like the royals and the nobility of England forever. And he's the quintessential like snobby rich dude, right? Like you get abs. Those vibes. Yes. The first scene you see him, it's like a pan of like over him and his bed with like a barely there sheet over his crotch area, and it's riding low. I was like, are they going to keep going down? Like, what kind of show is this, Sandra?
You know what?
It was very, very low. It was very, very close to showing some like
it was
rated R things.
But you know what? I mean, I don't know what this says about me because I kept getting targeted for ads about this. But like I saw the washboard abs and just the setting and it being enemies to lovers. And I was like, oh, Tara would be all over this. So that's like, I immediately sent it to you. And I didn't think that you would be like watching it ASAP. And you told me like you were already like almost done watching the entire thing. And I was like, okay, I guess I need to hurry up and read and then watch it.
But I did it in the reverse order. I watched and then I read. Like I'm having like a hard time with like my motivation lately. Yeah, and so I'm like, I can watch this. And then I got sucked in. And
it does suck you in. So the main characters are someone named Ruby Bell, who is your, as Tara said, quintessential good girl, comes from a kind of not well-to-do family. Her family has a lot of debt. Money is like very tight. She has a sister who's way into fashion. She's like a little fashion blogger. And then she has to work for every ounce of success and opportunity that she can get. So she's trying to work on getting a scholarship to Oxford. And then meanwhile, there's the Beaufort family with twins James and Lydia. and
Mhm.
they have an interesting dynamic. So literally the beginning of this movie, as Tara said, is like pan down the washboard abs. James has just had a one night stand with someone, or maybe just, a regular fuck buddy, whatever.
But we don't see her ever again, so I think it's a one night stand.
It kind of looked like that one chick though that the father was trying to hook him up with. It almost looked like
Oh,
her.
okay,
I went
maybe.
back. I was like, it could be her, but I don't know. I just found her kind of gross. But anyway,
Yeah.
so there's like a party going on, which is basically members of the lacrosse team, and James is like the captain of the lacrosse team. And there's like, oh shit, Lydia is like, she had like a mascara running down her face. And you want to get into why?
She is very worried because Ruby Bell just caught her doing something that would then piss off her dad. And we don't find out what they like right away what they were doing because we see James go like ape shit on Ruby and Ruby's like I don't want you anywhere near me. Like I don't want your money. I don't want
I
anything to do with
loved
you. Just
her.
go away. And we find out that Ruby had caught Lydia with her teacher in a compromising position, to
Yes.
say the least. And we hear that Lydia has been a little unlucky in love, where like one of her ex-boyfriends had to be paid off because he was gonna show the not like revenge porn pictures of
Yes.
her basically. And so she's been in some hot water already and she's like he's going to be so mad at me. But Ruby has no intention of like blackmailing her or anything. To
No.
the point that Ruby had been like the reason Ruby went back or saw them was she was going back to give him another piece of paper for a recommendation to Oxford, the teacher. And when she saw that, she immediately said, "No, I don't want your recommendation." And he's like, "I wrote it before you caught me." And she's like, "Yeah, but I don't want any kind of a taint on this if anybody finds out that I caught you doing something and didn't tell, you know?" And so she's like, "I'm not going to tell, but like, I'm going to go get somebody else to do this." So she has like a backbone and a high sense of integrity.
Yes, that's one of the things I loved about her was her moral compass. And we see her to kind of exercise that over and over as the
Hmm.
series goes on. Enemies to lovers is a favorite kind of romance trope to me. And the way that this, little series did it was so well done. And
Hmm.
slowly, I mean, you said it's only 6 episodes, but it's like they don't waste any time. You see episode to
Mm.
episode, all of these traumas start bubbling up to the surface. Obviously, there's something really distressing that happened to Ruby's family and something that she has trouble getting over and still has nightmares about. And there was just so many scenes where these little glimpses were shown from James's experience of life and growing up in the Beaufort estate, and then Ruby's with her family dynamic. And it just made me feel all the feels.
Well, and you see also like this school, like Ruby is a scholarship kid. Like there's no way she would have been able to get into the school without being insanely smart. And she says multiple times that she wants to be invisible because if she is seen by these people, they will create havoc for her and she will never get where she wants to go. So she has lived her life trying to be invisible. And the only person that she is like really good friends with is somebody who her dad lost their fortune. So she was there and she was there because she was a rich girl. But then her dad lost her fortune. So she like became live not Libby. I'm sorry. Ruby's friend because of that.
Yeah.
And so she also has like this little chip on her shoulder that like everybody thinks they're better than me
Hmm.
and they're not. And like nobody would have been my friend, blah blah blah. And we see if anybody is up in their English royalty, the school that they play in one of their like lacrosse games is Eton College, which is where Prince William and Prince Harry and like all of them went to school. And so these are very like mixing with royalty students.
Yes. One of the early scenes where I just really, really, really loved Ruby is when James approaches her at school with a stack of money and then
Mhm.
brings out a second stack of money, trying to buy her silence and catching her with the teacher whenever she never planned on telling anyone anyway. And she just kind of like drops the money and it's like raining bills.
Well, she doesn't even just drop it. She
She's
like makes it like
I,
she
it's like
does something that
confetti.
like like deck of cards it, like when you're shuffling and
Yeah.
yeah, she like runs her thumb over it and it just like flies up in his
I mean,
face.
I don't know how she made that happen realistically speaking, but the cinematography for that scene and just the way they had like them in profile with that
Mhm.
happening, I just it was so good. But this kind of spurs weird like this weird like little not a rival relationship, but this
Back
is
and
like the
forth.
the enemies thing between the two of them because he has never been rejected by some no name so and so before and he's not going to
Mhm.
like accept
He's
that.
not gonna take that lying
Uh-huh.
down.
And then since she already rejected her first professor's, letter recommendation, she decides to go after this hard ass whose recommendation would be worth a lot. And he is a hard ass and it's just
Well, it's the headmaster. It's not even just like another teacher. She's like, well, the only person that I would like get a better one from is the headmaster. And so she goes after him and he's never once wrote a recommendation.
yeah, no one even bothers. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna bother. I'm gonna try. So there's like this little open house type of thing for the college for people
Yeah.
to like see. And
It's
this
a
scene
welcome
had
week.
me.
So it's got the
Yes.
parents like who are just now dropping off their kids to this prestigious school, right? Like these are like
Hmm.
kings and queens and whatnot, dropping off their little sweet babies.
The headmaster essentially tells Ruby, if you cannot embarrass us and, represent us really well, I'll think about it. And so everything is going well. And then it's like all of a sudden the strippers come out. And this was like one of the funniest things.
And they even like pull him over and have a stripper giving him a lap dance. And he's just like, get off of me.
I
Shut it
was
down now.
laughing. I was laughing so hard. Everyone just looked deeply uncomfortable.
And so he noticed, though, or somebody noticed that James was a part of that. And so he
Mhm.
pulled both Ruby and James into his office and he's like, okay, you're off the lacrosse team and you are on thin ice. Like the next one better be great. It better go off
Mhm.
with no hitches.
Mhm.
And so they have to work together.
Yes, which just kind of levels this up even more. And mistake me if I'm like correct me if I'm mistaken, but didn't the father Mortimer Beaufort didn't he also pressure the headmaster into getting him off of the lacrosse team
Well, no.
temporarily?
So he didn't do the headmaster, but he told the coach that he is not allowed because he
Yeah,
knew
yeah, yeah.
James would like go to the coach basically. And James still went to practice even though he was told. And he's like, I'm a Beaufort. You can't do
He's like the
anything to me.
rules don't apply to me.
Yeah. And so he said that basically to the coach. And like the coach is like, it's my head that is gonna like get chopped off if you continue this. And he's like, well, I'll just have my dad go to the headmaster. And the coach is like, it's your dad who told me not to let you practice.
Mhm.
And like, there's this flashback scene with him and his dad, and it was so cute. And so I thought like they had a really great relationship. And then, like, the dad of present day, like, something happened because he's a douchebag.
Was it the chess scene, the
Uh
flashback?
huh.
Yes. It had me fooled as well. I was like, "Oh, he's a very wealthy man, but he's doing good things, trying to teach his shitbag son to, have
Yeah.
some values." And no, they totally fooled us
No.
with him. That's how I like how this show revealed all of these intricate layers to people and all of these traumas, though. I don't know what this character's name was. I'm just gonna call him Harry Potter because that's what he looked like, but he has, like, the biggest crush on Ruby, and
Uh
he's a
huh.
part of that event committee with
I
her.
think James calls him Harry Potter too.
Oh, okay, so Harry Potter. Um, so the headmaster is basically like, okay, Ruby, James are going to be working together on this charity fundraiser type of event that's happening. Very important that, we're represented well. Don't fuck up again. You guys need to work together. So they're like planning on what theme to do. And so Harry Potter is just like, let's do a black and white theme. And just being really boring. But he has like this poster made already and he's so proud of it and awkward. And then James is just like, no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to his defense, the poster was very, very plain. Um, and I loved James's take on it. He's like, we can even add some of that Alfred Hitchcock thing that you have going on over here. I was like, I love that. That was so funny. Like James is
But
pretty funny when he gets
he
his
is.
own character in, because I think he was like, much like all of these guys in all of our books so far have been like guided by their dads and like have
Mhm.
been pulling in some of their dad's personalities. And then when they branch out into their own personalities, they're not as horrible. Right. And
Yeah.
I think that happened to James. Like he was trying to be like his dad and imitate his dad. And that was very inauthentic to him.
Mhm.
And once he became himself, like there were a couple scenes like him jumping into the pool after his friends played a trick on her, which, like Sandra said, there are some like emotions, especially around water for her because her dad is paralyzed. And part like the reason he's paralyzed is they were on a boat and she fell in, and her dad was trying to save her and got hit by a boat. And so now he's paralyzed. And so she has immense grief and has based her life around making it better for her family because she feels like that was her fault.
Yeah.
And so when she was thrown into the water, she has like this PTSD episode, and he jumps in after her. And that's when her friends also figure out that there might be something going on between them. And it was just so cute. And to see him like comforting her in the car, I was like, yes.
I love that scene so much. I also loved how the chauffeur knew what was going on between the 2
Hmm.
of them and, like, even his little comment, like, "Should I do another turn?"
Round.
Just keep yeah, huh.
Well, and
Love
the
that.
looks he kept giving the mirror. Like, he's
Mhm.
like, "Hey, you
I
be
felt
good."
bad for the chauffeur.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Well, especially at the, like, end scene or one of the last scenes where, well, there were 2. One where the dad was attacking James, and the chauffeur got in the middle of it, and the dad's like, "Get out of my way," and he's like, "No." Like, he was a much better dad than his dad was. I don't know, I feel like there's something that had to have happened in between that little kid one where he was, like, playing with him
Mhm.
and now.
Yeah. I'm so interested.
I think that there's also, like, because James even mentioned this because there was a scene where, Ruby was dressing up with in a Beaufort, like, Victorian age costume, and the dad comes in and is just an ass about how she's not worthy and blah, blah, blah. And James makes a comment about, well, why were you? And you see that it was his mom's dad's company, and that, like, really his dad's not a Beaufort. Like, he just took his mom's name. And I so wanted mom to step up and be like, no, you don't get to act like this. This isn't even your fucking company. Like, back the fuck off. And she never did. And I was like, please just stand up for your children. And she never did.
James's parting words to his mom, before the whole Oxford visit and stuff, when he was like, "Oh, I can see it's, inherited, not, staying in line and not doing anything, just doing
Mhm.
what you're told. It's I see where I get it from." And then she has the stroke and like talk about cliffhangers for this series because I was just like, "What?" And then the father just has he's carrying on just
Yeah.
completely absorbed with like, oh, stock prices, like valuation of our company still.
I'm hoping that in like she did stand up for them in her will because that's her company. That's not his dad's company, right? I'm hoping
Mm.
she kicked him out in the will. I'm hoping she left it all to her children.
Hopefully. That's the only way she could redeem herself because I was so
Yeah.
sad and upset, like, disappointed with her as a character.
Yeah.
And, Lydia, I found really obnoxious in the beginning, but then I started, like, really, coming to understand, like, where she was coming from, and
Mhm.
after because at face value, the relationship she had with the professor was just a total no-no, but when you learn that they met very, like, before school, and they had no idea who each other were, and they were very much connected before all of that, then I was like, "Okay, I can understand."
It was very much like the Ezra and what's her name in Pretty Little Liars, Lucy Hale's character, that they like he turns around and she's in his class and he's like,
"Oh, this is
"Okay."
difficult?" Yeah.
And then we find out that Lydia's pregnant and she is going to keep the baby and she wants to be a mom and you see her like kind of grow up in like 2
You
2 minutes.
do. She came to be one of the characters I respected the most because she was like,
Mhm.
"You know what? I'm gonna do school and be a mom, and I still am not gonna give up on taking over this company because James doesn't want it. Like, I wanna do it." So, I really had a lot of
Like she
respect for
has
her.
the business sense too. Whereas
Uh-huh.
James doesn't.
He
He's
has,
just
like, the
male.
creative like, you
He's
see him
just
sketching a
yeah.
picture of, Ruby, and, like, he could totally do, like, designs and stuff, which he ended up doing, like, the poster too. Like, there was a picture
Uh-huh.
taken, which I loved and thought was so cute, and, of course, Ruby was mortified whenever the posters were up all over school.
Because she wants to be invisible, not
Yeah.
like the picture of this like because the picture was of her and him together and
Mhm,
she's like,
mhm,
so that just like blew my invisibility up.
mhm.
And then he does something like jackassy, right? Like towards the end. And she gets mad at him and like sends him his birthday present back and says, fuck off,
Yeah, but, like,
basically.
in his defense, Mortimer Beaufort was like, "If you don't call things off with her, I'm going to make sure she never gets into Oxford and that their
Hmm.
house is repoed," basically. So James was just like, "Well," I mean, he
But
didn't
he
have to
didn't
do it in the
have to
way he
do it in a
did.
way. Yeah.
He could have communicated with
Jinx.
her and told
Jinx,
her.
because like we said the same like exact thing. He didn't
Yeah,
have to do it the
communication.
way.
No, he could have communicated it. Like, Ruby, he should have known about Ruby that she could have handled it, right? That's one
Hmm.
of the things that always drives me nuts is when a man withholds information whenever they should just give that decision to the woman or the
Hmm.
young lady, whatever.
Yeah.
It irks me. Mhm.
So
But yes, so I love the charity gala, when they up until the point where Mortimer shows up when they're making out after flipping the lights back on because he was
mhm.
just a dickhead. I love the pool party.
If you've learned nothing about me and Sandra is that I love me some spice and Sandra loves her some parties. So,
It's like we never got to go to parties in high school. And then we went to college and we're like, oh, 80s party. That was like the first party that we went
mhm.
to, remember?
Yes.
It's just like, okay, going to all the parties now. Good girls.
Not understanding. We were very much the rubies of the situation. Like,
Uh huh.
eh.
Working hard in school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely related to Ruby that way.
Mhm.
And then there's like the whole Oxford visit. So she does end up getting the recommendation from the headmaster, and she should be so proud. And I love the moments with her family too, where they're just being so supportive. And even the
Mhm.
sister doing things like staying up for 48 hours to like sew a freaking Victorian dress for her. Like there was so much sisterly love there. And it was the complete opposite of James's experience. And
Mhm.
as you were saying, like any chance that he had of having space to breathe, that childlike wonder and freedom and that sweetness and kindness came out. And I just wanted to see more of that. I just felt so bad for him.
His only good relationship I feel like he had because kind of good with his mom, but she wouldn't stand up for him. So I feel like
No.
that's a downer.
Yeah.
And his sister, like I thought him and his sister had a good relationship. Like he would do anything for her and I didn't get the sense she would do anything for him. Like I think she was a little bit more selfish in that, but like they still had a like I'll back you, you back me kind of
Especially toward the
relationship.
end. Yes,
Mhm.
they definitely had each other's back toward the end. They were like, you know what? We just have each other.
Yeah, because our dad's an asshole and our mom just died. So I have a feeling there's something with that. Like they're gonna team up and like the
Yeah.
mom gave them half of the company or something. Like,
So I've been doing a little bit reading about the series, and it's like, oh, get ready for the next book or next season. It's just going to be even more drama and scandal. I'm like, what else can possibly happen with
mhm.
scandal? Like my brain can't comprehend that yet.
I
So
mean, Gossip Girl put a lot of scandal in there.
see,
So
I never
like,
watched Gossip Girl, so I don't know.
but I did like the like Gossip Girl, obviously based in New York, but I liked this being based in England slash
I'm sure
Switzerland.
you did. Uh huh.
Yes, I did enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I'm going to England, so I saw, like, places that I actually recognized and, like, that I want to go back to. Like, we're going to Oxford, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's cool. Ooh, I wanna see
Mm-hmm.
that." So
I'm trying to think of like more scenes if there were any big ones.
oh, we didn't mention I don't know who the dude Alistair? The curly-haired dude that is one of his
Oh, the
friends
gay
that, like
friend,
the
the
gay
gay
friend?
teammate. Yeah.
Yeah. He was adorable because he was the first one to, like, really let Ruby in, and he did it before he even knew that there was, like, this rivalry between her and James, and
Mhm.
it was so funny because I was like, "Oh, is he gonna hit on her at that game where he got thrown out?" Right? And he
Uh-huh.
goes over and he's like, "The action's this way," and she's like, "Oh," and they had, like, this cute little, like, bonding moment, and then he, like, watches her, and I'm like, "Oh, he's so gonna hit on her," and I even felt like James was a little bit jealous.
He got sidelined because he was
Yes,
distracted.
and then it turns out this dude's gay, and I'm like, "Why was he jealous?" He would
Yeah.
like, he obviously knew his friend was gay.
Mhm.
So, like,
I
why
felt
was
for
he
the
jealous
friend
that his
too.
friend was talking to her?
I'm glad you brought that up because the scenes where he was trying to come to terms with his feelings and wishing that things could work out between him and the other guy, especially when they're on the Oxford visit. I
Mhm.
really wanted to see more of that. So I like them as friends for James. And you brought up like sex scenes, but like obviously they had Ruby and James had rooms across from each other while they're visiting Oxford, and I kept hoping like come knock on her door, something. But then they had that sex scene and I was like they showed her like the her top and it kept like scrolling down. I was like, are they going to show like her? Because this was very explicit. It was very European style, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was another like I think James got pushed a lot with his jealousy because that was another scene that like I think his jealousy got a hold of him because the little dude who was leading the
Uh-huh.
like interview sessions or whatever was hitting on her and James is like shouldn't you be going for your own age kind of thing and like aren't you supposed to be doing something and
Uh-huh.
so he was getting very jealous that this guy was hitting on her and
Mhm.
like taking her out and like showing her Oxford and stuff. And
Which he was cute in his own way.
I hate to say this because I love James, but he was much more on her level. Like he was
Yes.
not a rich kid. He got into Oxford on his own merits. He was very much the male version of Ruby, right?
Mhm.
Very cute, very tall compared to Ruby though too.
Mhm.
And he was showing them around and stuff and I liked him a lot. I thought he was really cute, but then James like, "Oh, well, the business school's better and you're sucky." And like his jealousy just got the best of him, and I thought that that was hilarious.
Every debate between Ruby and James, whether it was back at Maxton Hall or at Oxford, it was just like people would turn around and look at them like, okay, what is going on? Because there is some drama happening between these two.
Did you get like I got the sense of like Tessa and Hardin with that, like in
Yes.
their first
Mhm.
like bickering matches, like in class about
Mhm.
Darcy?
Yes. Maybe
Yes.
that's why I like it so much.
Yes, I got very much
After series. Man, I it's going to be a long time before we get a next season, but at least we're getting one. So,
yes. I had not seen that, so that is good news.
Hopefully, with more Prime Video, like the adaptation popularity, we will get an English translation because as soon as that is done, I am going to pick them up and read them. And I'll be
Yeah.
curious to see like how faithful it is to, the show to the books. So
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there's 3 books, right? So, like, we will have seen what is going to happen on season 2 already, which, I like that.
yeah, it'd be nice because I cannot wait. But this does
Mhm.
have me interested in Mona Kasten as an author because I know she's written some other stuff. Like I think there's a duology floating around out there, but I'm like, maybe these are translated. So I haven't checked into that yet. But now I'm like, if I like this, maybe I'll like some of this.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But so glad that we watched this one and could talk about it together.
Yes.
Good vibes.
Yes. So this was your very first extra episode kind of thing, not really a book club book, obviously, because it's not a book. So expect some more. Expect some
Mhm,
more.
mhm.
Maybe I'll take some video of Oxford or something like that when we go so you can
Yes.
see.
Technically, we also talked about the idea of you
Oh,
movie.
yes, yes. So not your
Yes.
first one.
But
I
yes,
already forgot that
more of
apparently.
this. More of
Yes.
this.
Maybe
So
we'll
fun.
finally get David on here. We can play a which character are you with
Oh,
him or something.
we know who he is. Love you, David. Anyway, so hope you enjoyed this discussion of Maxton Hall, which is streaming on Prime Video. And now we'll just sit here and twiddle our thumbs until season 2 drops.
Yes. We've got
So
nothing else to do, no books
nothing.
to
This is
read,
their life. Nothing.
nothing going on in our personal lives. We're just going to sit here
Yep. All
patiently
right.
waiting.
We're gonna cut this off now. Okay. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.